All right, so let's actually implement something first, okay? Just like I showed you in the other software engineering demo, let me show you what it looks like if you don't use the database, okay? So if you don't use the real database, all right, so we need to at least create a list, okay? We'll call it a food list, something like this, all right? I'll just use Java's list. And then in the list, I have some different items. Okay, I use a hash table or dictionary to save that. There's a name, I do a subway, I do a price, maybe $8.99. Okay, that's one item. All right, so I do another one, Starbucks. Maybe this one you can get something. One more, we'll do a pizza. All right, I'll put three here. That's our food list. All right, so if I want to build things without database, I can just put it dump all the data here. And then let me delete the things we don't need. We don't need this counter thing. So just to make the code shorter and cleaner. All right. So what we want right now we need to think of the logic. Okay. So we type something and then we click on a button that's going to show the results. Okay. So everything happens when you click on the button. So we are locating this one here. So when the button is pressed, okay, we're going to do something. Okay. What we're going to do, let me list it. Okay. First, we need to know the budget being input. Okay. Step two, we need to search the food list and find out all the items that are less than the budget. That's the logic. Third, show and render the result. Okay, so that's how we do everything. All right, so that's gonna require some coding here. So let's figure this one by one. First of all, how do we know the input? How do we know the input from this test field? All right, so look at the documentation. Okay, that I didn't talk about this one last time because I was only showing you all the way at UI widget. So ask AI about it. Whenever you ask AI, try to let AI to give you the simplest example. Okay, show me the simplest way and cleanest way to read the input value from the Flutter text field like below. That way, it just give you exactly the code you want. You don't have to read too much, okay? And then you can always look at a simple code to put that into your code. Okay, so let's see what they said. First of all, they have something called a budget controller. Okay, they build a controller. This is a very typical way to manage the UI system. And then they do some kind of a override. Whenever you see the override, it just means something about a template code. Okay, so it looks like they're trying to dispose something, maybe try to reset things. Okay, all right, and then in your text field, and then you will need to add this controller called a budget controller. Okay, this is only extra. Okay, and then this one here shows you how you can read it. So if you call the controller dot text and trim just to get all the spaces, that's how you can get the budget. All right, and this one even shows you if you want to use a number and then how you're gonna do that. All right, so that's good enough. Okay, I'm gonna try this. Okay, first of all, I need to add a controller. I'll put it to the top. All right, once you have this, you also need to put the controller under here. Okay, you have something called a controller, and you say, I have this budget controller. That's how you can connect this controller with this text field. This part, do it or not, doesn't matter. I assume that they're just controlling the life cycle of that object. Okay, so if you want to just put it here, as long as it's override, just do something like this. Okay, it's not gonna change too much, but we'll add it there. And then once you have everything, so here you can start to try to grab the value. Okay, so following the example, they said that this is how you can get a text. Okay, just the budget dot text dot train. All right, and then let's actually print out what the budget is. All right, so save. Let's see if that works. I type something 10, I click on search. Yeah, so that print 10. I do 55, search, and then that print 55. All right, so that's how I can read that value. And obviously they did a better job here to turn that into a number, which we also need. Then the numbers could be below, okay, because I saw they turned that into int. So yeah, they use a double. All right, so we're gonna use this one here instead. Okay, so we parse that text into a double and then we print. The reason they complain because they only print a string. So I think this is something called a toString. Oh, budget, not budget text. Okay, yeah, this is good. All right, so this one should be working. Let me just double check. Okay, print. Yeah, so now they turn that into a number. Okay, that's step one. All right, we're good. I'm gonna delete this one. All right, step two, we're gonna read all the food and then try to compare that. Okay, so this is also not too difficult, but we need to have a loop. All right, so this one here, I can't remember how the loop works. Let me try it. So I think the variable, the food in the food list, something like this. Yeah, that might be right. Okay, so that's how you iterate all the food in the list. So if you say that if the food um price, right, is less than equal than the budget. All right, so that means that's the thing we want. All right, so I think that's some kind of type issue. Um, yeah, they just want to make sure that this is not null. Okay, so yeah, I'll just follow theirs. No. Create extension operator. I don't know, John. If I do the null child, this still doesn't work. Okay, so I don't want to go too complicated on that one. So this one, this is a new feature from the Dart. They just want to do more street type checking. Okay, so how do we make sure the type is can I do if food doesn't equal to null? And would this one work? No. Or if I do this, no. All right, so let me ask AI to fix it in a clean way. I got a compiler type have error on this code, how to fix complaining the null check. So they are trying to get this one here. I don't know if, okay, so this one is fine. Okay, so, well, let's just try this. Okay, if they think this is okay, then we do this. Because the receiver can be null. Oh, they're probably they're talking about this one. Okay. That might be null. Okay, so they in this case they did a check here and okay, so that's why that they do all of this. Man, this is so complicated. Okay, so it's just a very simple thing and then you write so much code. I don't know the point of doing all this type checking. Okay, anyway, in that case I would just follow this one. Okay. All they're trying to do is just type checking. Okay, I don't want to dig into too much on this. Okay, so this one should be okay. That means that you got, um, um, yeah. So let me move this. Okay, let me test it. Okay, I will just print the food. Okay, if that's within the budget, that's just printed. Okay, so that should work. I'm gonna do 55. So all of these items are showing. Okay, if I do only five, I search only Starbucks. Okay, if I do maybe eight, and the Starbucks and also the pizza. Okay. All of this looks terrible, but all this are about the type checking. They want to make sure that because this one you try to parse it, maybe it doesn't work, right? So there may be an error. So that's going to be a null. Then this thing doesn't have the value. You can't compare that. They just want to do more strict type checking. So I think there are a lot of other things we can do to define the data better with the default value, all of this. Okay, so let's go too much. Okay, I won't spend too much time on that one. All right. So this is step two. And then step three is that we want to show all the results, right? So what I can do is I can just create a string here. I will create something called results. Okay. For now, the results is nothing. And then I want to, every time we find a food, right? So let me just do something very simple. Just to put that food string there. Okay, let's make sure we can get this one. Right now, just do a very simple um, display. Okay, all right, so that is the results. Okay, just a text. And then finally, we want to show that to this part here. Okay, so that also requires some little bit of code. If you remember the way they do with that counter thing, they use some kind of variable here and then to show the result, right? So I'll do the same thing. I'll call it search result, okay? But we don't have this. We need to create that one in the beginning. All right, and then here, once we have the result, we just need to update the search result. All right, so let's see if it works. If I click on search, and that updated, and that update this, but it didn't update this one. I feel that we need to um, do some like trigger. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, wait. Sorry, I did the wrong place. It's not here. It's actually this one. All right. So I do 50. That shows all the results. If I do 5, and then just 1. All right, so that's how you can manage this one. Okay, I put a lot of code here, okay, but I do want you to know the logic here. Okay, one is that the grab the value, and then we compare that with the list of the food item, and then finally we update. When you update things, you can see we use a kind of a common variable. So this text refer to that variable, and then this place here update the variable. The set state is a very important statement that you will use very often. They will just trigger the updates because you change the variable, you want to notify everyone that the variable value has been changed. So please update the value. That's the kind of a job of the set state. You will see this one very common. Okay, so that's just a very basic functionality. I don't want to do too much on the UI here. Obviously, you can do a list, you can show render things nicely, but the results are the same. All right, so now let's turn into the database because now everything is hard coded right here. Okay, if you have this app launch, that's fine. But one day you want to change the price, everything, you have to re-change the code and ask everyone to re-upload, update your app. That's not going to work. So you should use the database to manage all the information. So the app always talks to the database. All right.